In a world that never quiets down, where alerts buzz non-stop, opinions clash like cymbals, and silence is treated like some forgotten relic, the most underrated power move is learning to focus inward and embrace stillness. As Buddha once said, silence is an empty space. Space is the home of the awakened mind. In other words, your mind needs breathing room. Real strength isn't about chasing approval. It's about mastering inner calm. Because let's face it, these days, peace feels like a luxury. Imagine waking up with a clear head, free from unnecessary drama, and safeguarding your energy like it's the last slice of pizza. Sounds good, doesn't it? Today, we're diving into 7 transformative lessons to help you stay centered, focused, and most importantly, silent. Because when you quiet the noise around you, you finally hear the wisdom within. Silence isn't awkward. You just don't know what to do with it. Most people treat a pause in conversation like an emergency, scrambling to fill it with chatter, scrolling, or pretending to check their phone. But here's the truth. Silence isn't empty. It's where real clarity hides. It's the VIP lounge of your mind. Yet most people never make it past the bouncer. Buddhism teaches that silence isn't about the absence of sound, but the presence of awareness. When you stop running from it, you start seeing life with sharper clarity. Instead of reacting to everything instantly, you learn to step back, process, and make smarter choices. Imagine how much unnecessary stress you could dodge just by mastering this one skill. The key: start small. Take a few moments each day to just sit in stillness. No screens, no background noise, just you and your thoughts. Whether it's a short meditation, a quiet walk, or simply closing your eyes for a few deep breaths, these little habits help you rewire how you experience silence. And before you know it, what once felt awkward starts to feel like home. Loneliness and solitude often get mixed up, but they couldn't be more different. One leaves you feeling empty, the other fills you up. Loneliness is craving company that isn't there, while solitude is choosing to be with yourself and actually enjoying it. Buddhism emphasizes that solitude is crucial for self-discovery. Think about it. Many of history's greatest minds, from artists to leaders, carved out time alone, not to escape the world, but to understand themselves better. It's not isolation, it's preparation. Because when you strip away outside noise, you finally hear your own voice. Instead of seeing alone time as something to avoid, start using it to your advantage. Take yourself out for coffee, go on a solo trip, or just sit with your thoughts without any distractions. The more comfortable you become in your own company, the less you rely on external validation, and that's real power. Ever notice how the most impactful people in history spent serious time alone? No distractions, no endless chatter, just them and their thoughts. Solitude isn't something to fear. It's a strategic upgrade. When you're alone, you get to listen to the only person who truly knows what's best for you, yourself. Now think about it. Most of your stress doesn't come from within. It's all the external noise, other people's expectations, endless opinions, and that one friend who keeps asking for advice they'll never follow. Stepping away from all that lets you hit reset. It's like switching your brain to airplane mode, filtering out unnecessary distractions so you can think clearly. Instead of dreading solitude, turn it into a tool. Read something thought-provoking. Meditate, even if it's just zoning out and wondering where all your missing socks went. Take a walk outside and realize how small your problems are compared to the vastness of the universe. The moment you stop seeking approval from the outside world, you start feeling lighter, like you just cleared a lifetime's worth of mental clutter. The last time you saw a wise old monk debating online was never, and that's no accident. True power doesn't come from speaking. It comes from knowing when to stay silent. Silence isn't just absence of noise. It's a strategic tool. In negotiations, relationships, and those inevitable debates with your opinionated relatives, silence shifts the balance of power. Most people get uncomfortable when faced with quiet, and that discomfort gives you the upper hand. Choosing not to engage with negativity doesn't mean you're weak. It signals confidence, discipline, and a mindset focused on the bigger picture rather than petty squabbles. Here's a trick. The next time someone tries to bait you into an argument, say nothing. Let them keep talking. Soon enough, they'll either expose their real motives, start backpedaling, or feel the need to over-explain. Meanwhile, you remain composed, unaffected, and in control. Like a chess master letting their opponent reveal their next move. It's a subtle power move, and once you master it, you'll wonder how you ever lived without it. Now, let's talk about the never-ending hunger for validation. Ever caught yourself refreshing a post to check how many likes it got? Be honest, it's like pulling the lever on a slot machine, hoping for a hit of approval. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Every time you chase external validation, you're handing over control of your happiness. According to Buddhist teachings, true self-worth isn't found in applause or recognition. It's found in knowing your own value, even when no one's watching. Imagine the relief of not needing likes, comments, or compliments to feel good about yourself. Imagine pursuing your passions purely for the joy they bring, not for social approval. That's what real freedom looks like. The second you stop chasing approval, you actually start living. Your choices become about what excites you, not what earns applause. And the irony? That's when people respect you more, because confidence has a way of drawing them in. So before you post something just to get that little dopamine rush from likes, pause and ask yourself, would I still do this if no one else could see it? If the answer is yes, congratulations. You just reclaimed control over your own life. Let's be real. People's opinions are about as reliable as a weather app in the middle of a storm. Relying on validation is like handing over the remote to your self-worth and letting random strangers flip through the channels. And the worst part? External approval is as inconsistent as public Wi-Fi, there when you don't need it, gone the moment you do. True power comes from knowing your own worth without waiting for applause. Want to break free from the validation loop? Set goals that actually matter to you, not ones that just look good online or impress your overly critical relatives. Celebrate your wins in private, be your own biggest fan, and remind yourself your value isn't a community decision. The moment you turn inward, the outside noise starts to fade, and that's when confidence stops being an act and starts being real. Sometimes, the smartest way to move forward is by stepping back, but don't mistake that for giving up. Knowing when to walk away is a skill, whether it's from a dead-end situation, a draining environment, or a group chat that never seems to end. In Buddhism, knowing when to step away isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's about recognizing when a situation, a relationship, or even a habit is causing more harm than good, and having the courage to walk away. Think of it like clearing out mental clutter the same way you'd clean out your closet. If something no longer serves you, weighs you down, or creates more stress than peace, it's time to release it. Stepping back isn't about giving up. It's about making room for clarity, growth, and smarter choices. In a world that glorifies constant hustle, real transformation often happens in the moments of stillness, when you pause, reflect, and decide your next move with intention. So when life starts to feel overwhelming, don't hesitate to reset. Sometimes, the most powerful decision is knowing when to step away. Ever wonder why your phone warns you when the battery is low, but your mind doesn't? That's how people end up running on empty, stuck in toxic environments, draining relationships, or jobs that make them dread Mondays. But here's the truth. The smartest move isn't always to push through. Sometimes it's to pull back. Walking away isn't defeat. It's a way to refuel. When you distance yourself from negativity, stress, or exhausting obligations, you give yourself the chance to think clearly. It's like pausing a movie that's moving too fast. Suddenly, the details you overlooked come into focus. You begin to see which relationships uplift you and which ones keep you around just to offload their emotional baggage. You start recognizing the situations that drain your energy faster than a dying phone battery. So why do so many people find it hard to step away? Simple: guilt. We've been conditioned to believe that setting boundaries is selfish, that saying no is impolite, and that cutting out toxic influences makes us cold-hearted. But here's the reality. Protecting your peace isn't selfish. It's essential. Because when you're mentally drained, you can't fully show up for your family, your work, or even yourself. Ever tried debating with someone who's already made up their mind? It's about as productive as convincing a cat to enjoy bath time. Completely futile and downright exhausting. That's where the power of stepping away comes in. Instead of getting tangled in negativity, simply remove yourself from the battlefield. The next time someone tries to bait you into drama, picture yourself holding an exclusive pass to peace. No explanations, no justifications. Just exit the scene with quiet confidence. People who thrive on conflict crave reactions. It fuels their sense of control. The moment you refuse to engage, their influence crumbles. And it's not just about avoiding toxic individuals. Work stress, endless obligations, and overwhelming commitments can suffocate you if you never take a step back. Learning to withdraw strategically gives your mind the breathing space it needs to reset, refocus, and come back stronger. Let's clear something up. Choosing to walk away from negativity isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It means you recognize what's worth your energy and what isn't. According to Buddhist philosophy, peace isn't something you stumble upon, it's something you actively protect. So how do you apply this in daily life? Easy. Take intentional breaks from social media, because scrolling through bad news isn't self-care. Set boundaries with people who leave you emotionally drained. Say no to obligations that don't contribute to your growth. Prioritize activities that recharge your mind, whether it's meditation, a peaceful walk, or simply sitting in silence, enjoying the rare moment when no one needs anything from you. At the end of the day, not everything warrants your reaction. Not every argument needs to be won. And sometimes, the most powerful response is to simply step back and let the chaos fade into the background. Whether it's journaling, reconnecting with nature, or just learning to say no to what drains you, pulling back isn't about running away. It's about leveling up. It's about eliminating distractions so you can finally focus on what actually matters. When you distance yourself from things that don't align with your values or goals, You take back control of your life like a pro. Mastering this mindset means making room for growth. You become more resilient, more intentional, and, let's be honest, a whole lot less stressed. It's proof that stepping back isn't a setback. It's the foundation for an even stronger comeback. Progress isn't about how fast you move. It's about moving in the right direction. And sometimes, the smartest way forward is to pause, reflect, and adjust your course. These days, people treat their ambitions like headlines, constantly broadcasting their plans, hyping up their wins, and chasing approval before putting in the real work. But there's a different approach. True success isn't about making noise. It's about making progress. Talking too much about your goals creates unnecessary pressure, sets up expectations, and can even trick you into feeling accomplished before you've actually done anything. It's like snapping a gym selfie without ever lifting a weight. Real progress isn't about making announcements. It happens quietly, behind the scenes, where the real work is done. Let your achievements do the talking. When you focus on the process rather than seeking validation, all your energy goes into actual growth. You don't need to broadcast every step, because when the results appear, they'll say everything that needs to be said. And let's be real, success makes the biggest impact when it arrives unannounced. Ever notice that the loudest people in the room are rarely the ones making real moves? They'll hype up their big projects, brag about their unstoppable hustle, and drop phrases like next-level strategy. Yet years pass, and they're still spinning their wheels. Meanwhile, those who truly succeed, they keep their heads down, put in the work, and when they finally speak, it's their results that command attention. The reality is, consistency drowns out empty words. When you show up daily and put in the effort without chasing validation, something powerful happens. People start noticing your progress without you saying a word. Think of it like fitness. You don't need to tell anyone you've been hitting the gym. Your transformation will make it obvious. You don't have to convince people you're leveling up. Your success will make it impossible to ignore. And here's the real win. When you stop chasing approval, you gain something far more powerful. Unshakable self-confidence. The kind that doesn't rely on applause to feel validated. The kind that comes from knowing you're showing up and doing the work, day in and day out, whether anyone notices or not. The silent rule of true growth Buddhism emphasizes the value of right effort, focusing on progress without attachment to recognition. Look at nature. Do trees announce their growth? Does a river beg for appreciation as it flows? Does the sun snap a selfie every morning to celebrate its rise? Of course not. Yet they move forward with quiet purpose. Your growth should be no different. Steady, consistent, and unstoppable. The problem is, most people talk more than they act. They hype up their ambitions, but when it's time to follow through, they lose steam. Why? Because speaking about goals tricks the brain into believing progress has already been made. It creates an illusion of achievement. That's why the most successful individuals guard their ambitions like a secret formula. They don't waste energy announcing the masterpiece before it's even in the oven. Why keeping your goals private is a power move. Here's a simple truth. Silence is protection. Keeping your goals to yourself shields them from doubt, negativity, and unnecessary distractions. The second you start sharing your ambitions, you invite a flood of opinions, most of them from people who haven't accomplished much themselves. When it comes to relationships, careers, and personal growth, actions will always carry more weight than words. You have nothing to prove to anyone. Let your success speak so clearly that it becomes impossible to ignore. Want to make this a reality? Do this. Set your goals, work on them quietly, and let your results do all the talking. No unnecessary hype, no grand declarations, just steady, consistent effort. And believe this, when the moment is right, the world will take notice. Success isn't about making noise. It's about showing up consistently and making real progress. The most meaningful victories, they don't need a spotlight. Instead of chasing approval, shift your focus to daily self-improvement. Whenever doubt creeps in, remind yourself, true success isn't about what you say, but how deeply you commit to growth every day. By letting go of the need for validation and focusing on perfecting your craft, you unlock the real power of patience, persistence, and self-trust. The most fulfilling achievements aren't the ones that demand recognition. They're the ones that shape you quietly, from the inside out. Stay focused, stay committed, and always remember, your actions will echo far louder than words ever could. One of the most overlooked strengths, the ability to remain unshaken. Buddhism teaches that true freedom comes from mastering non-reactivity, staying calm, in control, and intentional, instead of being pulled into every argument, distraction, or drama that comes your way. In a world overflowing with opinions, conflicts, and manufactured outrage, learning to pause before reacting is a game changer. Think about it. How often do we let a single offhand comment, an annoying coworker, or a random online troll dictate our emotions? Reacting on impulse saps energy, spikes stress, and more often than not, changes nothing. Instead of letting emotions like anger, frustration, or insecurity take the wheel, train yourself to respond with purpose. This isn't about ignoring real feelings or avoiding important conversations. It's about giving yourself the space to think before acting. When you master your reactions, you reclaim your power, protect your peace, and navigate life with clarity instead of regret. Mastering the art of staying unbothered. Ever noticed how the people who stay composed in chaos seem to have life all figured out? Meanwhile, the rest of us are out here reacting to every minor inconvenience. Traffic jams, passive-aggressive emails, sluggish Wi-Fi. But here's the reality. Every reaction drains your energy, and more often than not, it's simply not worth it. Buddhist teachings introduce the idea of right mindfulness, being fully present, aware, and in charge of your emotions. Think of it as an emotional firewall. Instead of letting every little annoyance get to you, you pause, assess, and determine if it's even worth acknowledging. Spoiler alert, most of the time, it isn't. Imagine this, someone cuts you off in traffic. Your knee-jerk reaction? Lay on the horn, mutter a few choice words, maybe even wish for their tires to mysteriously deflate. But then you stop and ask yourself, does this reaction improve my day? Will getting worked up over a stranger's bad driving add any value to my life? Probably not, so you let it go. That's real strength. Why? Reacting less, living more. Here's the unspoken truth. Every unnecessary reaction is a hidden emotional tax. You pay for it with stress, anxiety, and wasted mental bandwidth. Ever felt completely drained after an argument that, in hindsight, wasn't even worth having? That's because reactions are costly. People who thrive on drama have one goal: to siphon your energy. They poke, prod, and provoke just to get a rise out of you. But when you don't take the bait, you win. It's like removing a mosquito's ability to bite. It stops being a problem. Choosing not to react, that's the ultimate flex. Avoiding negativity is just one part of the equation. Learning not to react impulsively actually strengthens your relationships. Think about how many arguments spiral out of control simply because someone couldn't pause for a moment before responding. Now imagine if, instead of lashing out, we took a step back, observed, and carefully chose our words. That small shift alone could prevent countless breakups, friendships from falling apart, and workplace conflicts from escalating. So how do you develop this skill? Start small. The next time something irritating happens, your coffee spills, your boss critiques your work, or someone leaves your message on read, pause and ask yourself, is this reaction worth sacrificing my peace? Will this even matter in a week? Am I fueling the negativity or choosing to keep my energy intact? More often than not, you'll find that staying composed is the better option. Over time, these moments of self-restraint add up. You become calmer, more grounded, and most importantly, truly free. Because real freedom isn't about controlling everything around you, it's about gaining control over yourself. And when nothing external has the power to dictate your emotions, that's when you've truly won. Outside chaos only affects you if you allow it to. Emotional resilience isn't about avoiding problems. It's about refusing to let them dictate your state of mind. Once you master this, you unlock a rare kind of power. The kind where your inner peace is no longer at the mercy of someone's rude comment, a traffic jam, or a stranger's judgmental look at the grocery store. Choosing not to react doesn't make you weak. It makes you stronger. Instead of snapping back or stressing over things outside your control, you develop patience, humility, and a depth of emotional intelligence that most people never reach. You start seeing situations for what they truly are, not just how your emotions distort them. And in doing so, you stop wasting energy on things that don't contribute to your growth. Deciding when to respond or when to stay silent makes you more deliberate with your time, energy, and inner peace. Instead of getting caught up in every little challenge life throws your way, you start focusing on what actually matters: your progress, your ambitions, your well-being. It's the shift from reacting to everything to becoming the one who dictates the game. Prioritizing yourself and embracing silence isn't about withdrawing. It's about gaining clarity. It's about building a life where your actions carry more weight than words, and where your peace isn't up for debate. Silence isn't submission, it's strategy. It's the strongest indicator that you're the one in control, not external circumstances. Real power doesn't come from reacting to every situation. It comes from deciding what's truly worth your attention. Stay sharp, stay grounded, and most importantly, remain the author of your own story.